Chapter 11. The Eighth Day. The morning light was a sickly gray, filtered through a haze of fine dust that clung to the air and dulled the horizon. The outpost was quiet. Not peaceful, just still, like the planet itself was holding its breath. Captain Reeve stood at the observation post, eyes scanning the ridgelines beyond the wire. He hadn't slept more than an hour. None of them had. His armor still carried streaks of mud and blood from yesterday's recovery. He hadn't cleaned them off. It felt wrong to. Below, the squad moved in silence. A handful of soldiers methodically checking barricades, reinforcing sandbag walls, replacing damaged floodlight panels. Their movements were slow but deliberate. The exhaustion had set in, but so had something else. Discipline born of survival. Reeve exhaled through his nose, scanning again through his binoculars. Nothing moved. Not a gust, not a flicker. The creatures had vanished again. That was always worse. He keyed his comm. "Mara? Status on the new sensors?" Her voice came through, calm but clipped. "Still calibrating. The perimeter grid is active but patchy. We'll need to extend the north relay if we want full coverage." "Do it. Take Lennox and 2 others." "Copy." He lowered the comm, watching as she and Lennox crossed the compound below. Even from up here, he could see the stiffness in her stride, tired but controlled. Lennox, as always, tried to mask it with swagger. He tossed a small salute toward Reeve's tower, a faint grin cutting through the grime. Reeve didn't return it. He turned his eyes back to the ridge. Mara. The air shimmered with heat by the time they reached the north relay point, a small mound of half-buried metal that had once been a perimeter scanner. Now it was half-melted and dead, the casing burned out from the last lightning surge. Lennox crouched beside it, prying the cover open with his knife. "Right then, let's see what's left of you." Private Hale and Sergeant Ruiz flanked them, rifles scanning the distance. The dust had thickened again, turning everything beyond 50 meters into a pale blur. Mara knelt beside Lennox, laying out the replacement components. "Careful with the grid coupler. If it arcs, you'll lose a hand." "Cheers for the warning," he muttered, sweat beading under his collar. "You know, for a lieutenant, you've got a real talent for understatement." "I prefer results to speeches." He smirked. "Yeah, I noticed." The scanner beeped softly as the new relay powered up. The display flickered, then stabilized, a faint humming spreading through the earth beneath them. Mara checked her wrist display. "North grid active. Linking now." She paused. The readings were strange, faint oscillations underground, rhythmic but irregular, like something moving slowly far below them. "Lennox," she said quietly, "you seeing this?" He leaned over, frowning at the data. Could be interference. Could be. The signal spiked. A brief pulse, then gone. Mara froze. Something's down there. "Then let's hope it stays there," Lennox muttered. They made it back to the compound by midday. The heat was oppressive, dry and suffocating, a constant reminder that the planet wasn't built for human lungs. Reeve was waiting near the central barricade, his rifle slung across his back, a map spread over a supply crate. "Report!" Mara pointed to the readings. "We've got movement signatures under the north ridge. Nothing breaking surface yet, but they're down there." Reeve studied the data, jaw tightening. "How many?" "Couldn't tell. 2, maybe 3. Could be one moving fast." Lennox leaned against the crate. Or could be them playing with us again. You know, getting the lay of the land. Reeve looked up. They're not playing, they're preparing. Lennox's grin faded. Aye, feels that way. Lennox. The afternoon dragged on like a bad dream. The heat shimmered off the metal walls, turning the compound into an oven. Every shadow looked too deep, every sound too close. Lennox worked the west barricade with 2 privates, welding a reinforcement plate into place, sweat running down his neck. He tried to keep the mood light. "You ever notice," he said, voice muffled by the welding mask, "how we're building this place up like we plan to live here? Because I don't fancy retirement on this bloody rock?" Private Marks gave a weak grin. "Beats paperwork, sir." "Barely." The torch sputtered out. Lennox lifted the mask, squinting through the haze. "You lot ever get that feeling? Like the air's listening?" Marks frowned. "Listening?" "Yeah. Like when you say something stupid, and the universe decides to make it true." Ruiz's voice crackled over comms. "We're getting faint motion near your sector. Check the outer trench." Lennox straightened, rifle in hand. "Copy that." He climbed the wall, scanning the outer ground. The trench beyond was empty, just loose dust, rocks, and old shell casings. Then something flickered. A brief shimmer under the sand. "Movement," he whispered. He signaled Marks to hold position and peered through the scope. A single shape far out, maybe 50 meters. The light bent oddly around it, like heat haze given form. Then it sank, soundless, disappearing beneath the surface. Lennox exhaled slowly. "Reeve, we've got one. Lone contact, West Trench. Went under." Reeve's voice came back calm but firm. "Copy. Don't engage. Let it move." "Let it move?" Lennox muttered. "Bloody marvelous plan." He stayed there another minute, watching the sand settle. Nothing else moved, but the feeling didn't go away. That crawling sense that something was watching him back. Harlan. Private Harlan sat in the medbay, knees pulled up, staring at the cracked floor. His hands wouldn't stop trembling. He kept telling himself he was safe, that he was inside walls, surrounded by soldiers, rifles, light. It didn't help. He could still hear them, that scraping, chittering rhythm, the way they moved under the ground like water. He'd tried to sleep, but every time his eyes closed, he saw Carter's hand vanishing into the dirt. He looked at the monitor across from him, the perimeter feed. The static came and went, little bursts of interference. Sometimes he swore he saw movement in it, shapes like shadows swimming just beyond the light. He leaned forward, tapping the side of the screen. "Come on, show me." The feed flickered. For half a second, the static parted. There, a dark shape low to the ground, moving fast along the trench line. Not charging, not attacking, just circling. Harlan stood, his pulse quickened. He keyed the comm. "This is Harlan in medbay. I've got movement on the west camera, 1 contact." Reeve's voice answered almost immediately. "We see it. Stay put." But Harlan didn't sit back down. He moved to the window slit, staring out at the dust haze. Nothing but shimmering light. He whispered to himself, voice shaking, "They're testing us again." Reeve. By evening, the compound was on full alert. Every man on the walls, every light burning. The tension was a live wire running through the air. Reeve moved along the battlements, checking positions. The new sensors pinged softly, registering small tremors underground, erratic, circling the perimeter, never closing in. He stopped beside Mara, who was reviewing the feed on her wrist display. "Still one contact?" "Still one," she said. "It's not attacking. It's mapping us." "Like Harlan said." She nodded. "If they're learning patterns, we need to change ours. Rotate watches irregularly, move supplies, alter lighting sequences, make it unpredictable." Reeve gave a faint smile. "You think like them." "Someone has to." Below, Lennox and his team were setting the last of the trip mines. The sun dipped low, bleeding red across the sky. It should have been beautiful, but it wasn't. It just looked like the world was rusting. As the light faded, the sensors went quiet. For a moment, the whole compound stood still. No wind, no sound, just that waiting silence that pressed in on all sides. Then, a faint vibration underfoot. Reeve froze. "Contact?" Mara glanced at the readings. "No, deeper, farther out." Lennox's voice crackled over the comm. "Cap, we're getting ground tremors on the West Trench. Big ones." The ground shuddered, a deep, distant rumble that rolled through the base. Metal rattled. Loose sand trickled from the walls. "Positions!" Reeve shouted. The tremor faded as quickly as it came. Silence. Then, nothing. No movement. No dust. Just stillness again. Lennox's voice came back, low and uneasy. That wasn't an attack. Reeve's eyes narrowed toward the horizon. No, that was a test. Later that night, the floodlights buzzed against the darkness. Reeve sat alone in the command post, helmet on the table beside him. The reports were laid out in front of him, lines of sensor data and half-corrupted camera logs. Every pattern was clear now. The movements, the pacing, the spacing of attacks. It wasn't random. It was strategy. He heard footsteps behind him, Mara again. She placed a ration tin on the table. "You haven't eaten." He gave a small shrug. "Neither have you." "Fair point." She sat across from him, the faint glow of the console lighting her face. 3 days, she said quietly. "Then relief should be here." Reeve looked at her, weary but steady. "If the creatures don't figure out how to bring this whole place down first." Mara's gaze didn't waver. "Then we make sure they don't." Reeve nodded slowly, rubbing the bridge of his nose. "They're getting bolder, smarter. They're thinking in patterns. We need to get ahead of it." He leaned back, the chair creaking. "Tomorrow, we fight them on our terms." Outside, the wind began to rise again, low, steady, almost like breathing. Harlan lay awake in the medbay, staring at the ceiling. Lennox sat on the barricade, rifle across his knees, eyes scanning the dark. Mara checked the monitors one last time before turning in, and out beyond the lights, in the open dust plains where the sensors couldn't reach, the ground began to shift. Small mounds, dozens, moving closer. There is always a story to be told out here in the frontier, as long as there is someone to listen, like, and subscribe, and join us again for more.